Cats and Comics on Facebook and follow them on Instagram.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Pen Up Cool Cats and Comics. I am Dennis. Unfortunately, Teresa cannot be with us again tonight due to a personal reason, but we do have Stacey Mandeville in tonight.
Hi.
We will get to who she is and what she does in a little bit. I just want to thank everyone who tuned in last week. We got to see get a little background from Joel, who's a hypnotist, and in a way it helps with life coaching too. He was giving some tips on how to, if you want to call it self-hypnosis, how to just do positive things and repeat them until your life changes for the better. Mm-hmm. And also we talked about comedy and hypnosis and stuff like that, so it was a fun show. I want to also remind everybody that I have a show coming up this Saturday, the 23rd at the Loft in Belmore. It's Aragona's comedy contest. It's round 1. So I'm hoping to move on to round 2, the finals. Actually, round 1 is the 23rd, and then there's going to be another first round contest the following week. The winners of that will go against each other in the finals.
Wow.
So make sure you come to that. It's the Loft in Belmore. It's $25. You get one free drink with that. I think it's beer or wine. So
Okay.
if you don't know what the Loft is, go on my Facebook page. It's in main Belmore town. There's a movie theater, and then it's like a hall above it. So check that out. On the 30th, I will be at Governor's Little Room. If people buy tickets before it sells out, so make sure you do that. And I want to give a special thanks to Frank and Sarah Zambuto, mainly because, we'll get into Frank first. He is part of Kayla Logistics, and that's where your business is our priority. Moving products you use every day across the country and around the world. Contact Frank Zambuto for all of your domestic and international logistic projects. Frank has over 20 years experience working with many name brand companies in the apparel, cosmetics, as seen on TV, and electronic industries. For trucking, air, and ocean cargo on all 7 continents, all you need is one solution. To all Cool Cat listeners, just mention our show and Frank will offer a free cost and transit time analysis for all your cargo. When cost and time matter, we deliver. Frank Zambuto and Kayla Logistics, where your business is our priority. And you can reach Frank direct at 347-536-3933 or email at frank@kaylalogistics.com. Frank, you know Frank as well. He's very good at what he does, and there's a lot of confusion what's going on around the world with tariffs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. He's not confused at all. You give him a call, he will straighten you out and get you in the right way. And I want to welcome back Day 3 Botanicals.
Oh.
We've missed them for a while, but they are back. So we are pleased to welcome back Day 3 Botanicals. They are well known for their organically grown full spectrum hemp oil rich in CBD. It is wonderful for aches and pains, stress, anxiety, inflammation, and better sleep. The sublingual drops are easy to use once or twice a day as directed by your healthcare professional. As promised at the months of trials and testing, Day 3 is proud to offer you their very own Hemp Supreme pet formula. We were talking about that a while ago. They finally got that down. It's convenient to use liquid in a dropper bottle that allows you to flavor your pet's favorite treat with a healthy, full-spectrum hemp oil to safely aid in your pet's inflammation, aches, and pains, to relax and calm them and help them sleep better at night. I'm sure that's good for cats because cats don't like to sleep at night.
Oh, no. Can I have like a vat of it for my cats?
Well, if you want, you can visit day3botanical.com to see their current lineup. And I'm very excited about this. A new topical pain cream is coming soon. Ooh. Remember to use our exclusive Cool Cats 10 discount code. That's COOLCATS10 for a 10% off discount for all of our listeners. You can mix and match, and remember that all Day 3 products are organically grown in the United States, no foreign hemp oil or synthetic CBD. They make Day 3 products with your health and well-being in mind. Visit www.day3botanicals.com, and 3 is spelled out, so it's THREE, not the number. Day3botanicals.com for current pricing and complete product information, and remember to use the exclusive Cool Cats 10 discount code for our listeners. We just got them back today, so unfortunately I don't have the graphic for them with their info, but we should be on track next week for that. And if you don't know about CBD oil, you should definitely check it out. It's the hottest thing right now. It's helped a lot of people with a lot of different things. There's a whole list of things that people have used it for, but you know, the topical cream I'm excited about too, because I've heard some people are starting to use that in massages and stuff, and it just like, you know, if you have one area that's sore, you put that on, it's supposed to
I haven't tried
really
it
take
yet.
care of it.
Maybe I'll go home with some. I'm going to
Yeah.
call them. I'll get with the Cool Cats 10.
Cool Cats 10.
I've never tried it. Maybe I should.
It's great, and I like it because it's a doctor that came up with it. It's not like, you know, some
Yeah.
people that messed around or whatever, and he got together with nutritionists and everybody else, and they made a very pure product. So it's the real deal. It's not a knockoff. It's not some watered down version that you can go pick up in a store. And remember, sometimes you do get what you pay for. If you find some $10 bottle of CBD oil,
Yeah,
who knows
probably
how much
not.
CBD is actually in it?
None,
yeah.
yeah.
And you know, if you judge based off that, it's going to be kind of tough. But I started saying I want to thank Frank and Sarah. Sarah has gotten us the last 3 guests, including you. You're friends with them.
I am.
They've been very great supporters of the show since the beginning, and that's how I got to meet a lot of people. Like I said, you know.
Well, Sarah
you
knows
included.
everyone on the planet Earth.
She does.
Really?
She
Yeah,
really
she does.
So definitely want to thank them for being supportive. And let's see, we got a lot of action already here. Sarah's saying hi to both of us.
Hi, Sarah.
V is happy. Happy endings do work too, yes, but CBD oil is legal, at least in most places, so maybe start with that. But anyway, I want to get into what you do. You're a public speaking coach, but it's more than that. You founded Red Leaf, right?
Yes.
So that was your
Yeah.
from the start. So you want to give a little background of what you did and how you started that?
Well, I started actually being a public speaking coach in 1999, and I met a gentleman who had a public speaking consultancy. I was in a play with him, believe it or not, and we became friends, and he hired me, and I realized that coaching was my superpower. And I worked with him for many, many years, and then eventually realized that there was no growth with him. He had his dog and pony show, and I did my part, and I began to be a little big for my britches, and I thought, well, I'm going to start my own, and I started Red Leaf Coaching.
That's great. And it's not just public speaking. You
Not
offer-
anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, I started out as a public speaking coach, and then from there, people would ask me, oh, can you teach emotional intelligence, or can you teach management skills, levels 1 and 2, other things like that. And I started branching out, and basically I could probably design a course around anything that has to do with the things that go bump in the night when people try to communicate in business.
So basically, anybody that faces any people would benefit
Yes.
from something like this.
If you talk to other humans, you can benefit.
So unless you're sitting at a desk just typing away on the computer, a public speaking course or any of the courses you offer would be a help.
Yeah, I've actually discovered that in my experience, most of the problems that businesses face, I can't speak for individual human beings talking to their spouses and their children, but for businesses, it's 3 things that cause all the problems. Inability to communicate with clarity and power and authority, a lack of emotional intelligence in the context of business, and then the lack of being able to use those 2 things to help you influence people.
Right.
And I teach all of those things in tandem when you let me.
Because I know in life, basically perception outweighs reality.
Oh, yes.
Especially in business.
Oh, yes.
I do real estate. You know, I'm trying to get back into it right now. I was very busy, so I had to take a step back from it. But how you portray yourself and what you put out there is the difference in making the sale or not. It doesn't matter if you're the most intelligent or you have the best product. It's how you put it out there that does it. And the secret to that is how the public speaking, the confidence of what you're putting forth. It also helps in comedy. It helps
yeah.
in, like you said, basically any customer-facing thing. When you got to face a person, it's got to do it because, like, you know, intelligence can mean a lot, but if you don't know how to put it out there,
Right.
nobody's going to know it.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. And the funny thing is that most people you talk to know what it looks and sounds like to be a powerful speaker or to communicate, let's say, with a real estate client. You know what you should be doing,
Right.
but you don't know how to do that. And then you go home and you kick yourself and go, oh God, I talk too fast again, or I say all the time, or I fidget with my feet, and you don't know how to break these habits.
Right.
And one of the things that I bring to the table is making these so-called soft skills as concrete as possible by giving my clients repeatable practice tools that they can use. So it's A plus B equals C. It's black and white. Do this 5 times a day and you will see results. Thank you very much. And as long as they do the practicing, you begin to build new habits to replace the old undermining habits that you don't like.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I notice even when you're speaking, you're doing certain hand gestures and doing that, and it's funny because I haven't taken public speaking since high school, which I don't believe they even offer it anymore, which we'll get into later. And see, I just did it. The rules you learned were to be confident, to stand up straight, to put forth something. Don't use the fillers like whatever, because it seems like you don't know what you're speaking, that you lack confidence. Never point.
Right.
Which is why you see a lot of politicians or people in authority, when they do, they'll do a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So what do you think now? I mean, I don't want to get into the whole political spectrum because that's just a whole wormhole. But when you see politicians out there, they're supposed to be leaders, or CEOs out there talking to people and like, what do you think? I mean, does that bother you?
That kind of stuff drives me absolutely crazy. And there's plenty of people that I cannot watch speak. I'm not naming names, but if I see
Right.
anybody, no matter how powerful they're supposed to be, if they are terrible and sloppy and they're not clear, if I don't sit there immediately and know what's in it for me, I tune out. I absolutely tune out. I get my phone, I'm playing Candy Crush, I'm on level 500 and something, because people don't know what they're doing.
So I pick politicians because they are public speakers.
Oh, yes.
They have a speech prepared for them, and they go out, they deliver that speech. A lot of times they don't even write that themselves.
Right.
They have writers, and they go out there, and they're supposed to portray that that's their true beliefs and
Right.
give you the firm thing. So again, when you're seeing them out there, basically like junior high school kids with the like I don't know, and I'm not picking on anyone in particular because it's everybody.
Yeah.
Most people out there right now aren't public speaking correctly.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, because they should be
Right.
the ones doing it. Anyone who's speaking in front of a camera like that, I think any newscaster, anybody who's any TV person or a politician should be highly skilled in that.
Part of the problem could be that, and they should be coached. Most of them are coached within an inch of their life, the high level ones.
Right.
But when you receive a speech from someone else and you're reading it off a piece of paper, or you're memorizing ideas that are not authentically your own, there's a disconnect. And that's where a lot of the non-words and fumfering and fidgeting might come from.
Right.
Not that they don't believe what their speech writers have written for them, hopefully they do, but if the words don't organically come from yourself, that's a problem. And if anyone is memorizing anything, unless you are a paid, trained, you don't even have to be paid, unless you have had theater training, it is very, very difficult to memorize words and speak it like it's spoken language. It's very, very difficult.
Right. See, it's tough because, just trying to think of how to put this. I mean, when you're in front of an audience, besides confidence and everything else, one thing people look for is relatability. They want to feel like, hey, I could hang out with this person. I'm on their level. But at the same time, when someone's in a position of authority, they should show that. So I think in some ways people have dumbed stuff down to relate to the common denominator.
Right.
But again, like you're saying, when I'm looking at someone in an authoritative position, and it doesn't just have to be a politician. Like I said, if I'm watching the nightly news, I want someone who's out there that could read off that teleprompter where I don't know that they're reading off a teleprompter. I want them to sell it. So whether it's not necessarily memorizing it, but they should read it before and have an idea of what's going on. Because again, they are a professional. Like, do I fumble sometimes? Yeah, I'm not as skilled as I used to be at it. And we do, as you're finding out right now, we do this live. There's no rehearsal. There's no preset questions. All I have right here is my ads. That's it. So again, it bothers me when someone does this for a living and they're getting paid a lot of money and they have no skills whatsoever.
Yeah, it's irritating, but I just change the channel.
Yeah.
If I don't like it, I move along. Unless it's some vitally important piece of news that I can't live without, I just move on if I don't like what they're doing.
See, that's the thing too. When you're trying to learn from someone, which is I feel what you're trying to do, or look up to someone, there should be something to look up to.
Well,
and I
common
find that really
sense-
lacking right now.
Common sense is not always common practice.
No, they're gonna have to change something because it's far from common anymore.
Well, I'm doing my best. I'm doing my
Yes.
best, one person at a time. The politicians haven't called me yet. Any politicians out there who would like coaching? Please call
I
me.
really, honestly, like I said before, I think anybody can benefit from this. Two things that really helped me when I was in high school. One, I said, was the public speaking, and when we had the phone conversation initially, a debating class. And as weird as it sounded, I had a hard time necessarily expressing my feelings, which I still do sometimes, nowhere near as much. But they said, take a debating class. I said, well, how is that going to help? But I had to pick a topic or whatever, and I didn't necessarily get to choose what I was speaking for. Like one thing I remember specifically was what type of mayonnaise is better, Hellmann's or Miracle Whip. At that point, I never had Miracle Whip, and that was the one I had to defend. So how do you get up there on stage in front of a room of people and fight for Miracle Whip to be better than Hellmann's when you only have had Hellmann's? How do you do it? And I was able to because of the public speaking and the training I got in that class. And again, it wasn't necessarily about being right. It's about making people believe you were right and that you really believed it. And I sold it like it was the best thing I've had. I can't even have a sandwich without it. And it does help in life. I mean, I think another big person that needs skills like that would be an attorney.
Right, oh, yes.
Because that's what it is. It's showing off. Who do you believe more and who's selling you the story more? Not people, again, facts don't really matter much. Did they ever really matter? I don't know. But it seems like less now that we're in this instant gratification Facebook era. People read headlines, they don't read stories. They look, someone looks like they're believable, they're going to believe them, you know. So what's the answer? I don't know, but it's kind of sad how experts aren't so much experts anymore.
No, but it helps if they look and sound like experts.
Yes.
I mean, I know in law the facts are paramount. That's not negotiable. The facts, the law,
Right.
the law is the law. But I did a really, really fun coaching session with a group of lawyers, and we had the privilege of having a judge come and be in the class with us. And she was just going to stop by and say hi. But then she got very engaged in the coaching and stayed the whole time. And I was coaching one lawyer who, she was a divorce attorney, and she was very reserved and formal, and I coached her on intonation and passion, and looking and sounding like she really cared about her client. And she said, well, it doesn't feel right to be so passionate. And the judge went crazy. She said, she's literally pounding the table. Yes, you have to show it. Yes, you have to show the people that you care. And I was like, thank you, Judge, because they feel like they need to be so formal, and they
Right.
do need to be formal, but they have to add
Still
the
have
passion.
to show the energy.
Yeah.
I noticed that's big in comedy too.
Oh yeah.
Relatability and selling it, because I'm still trying to get to that point. I'm only 2 years into comedy. People say you don't even find your voice until 5 to 10 years in, and then you got to spend the next 10 perfecting it before you really get out there. But I noticed if you look at the biggest comics right now, maybe even of all time, and Paul Bond, who's great, and I want to get into him and what he's doing. Fee, if you could get the charity ready, I want to put that out there. It's not so much the joke, it's the delivery.
Of course.
So again, it just goes right into the whole public speaking thing. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. I was going to throw away most of my set, and he goes, "Your set's funny. You're not. You're not selling it. You're not putting it out there." And I noticed, like, if you look at like the biggest comedians now, what are they doing? They're in your face. They're very animated. And I went over here and over, and people, it does attract them. They eat it up.
Yeah. But even if they're not in your face, not everyone has that style. What good comics are usually doing is throwing their energy in a deliberate way
Right.
to different people in the audience. They're not just throwing their set like this. They are throwing they may look up here, throw a joke, and let it land. And then they move on. They pause, they change speed, and they move their eye contact in a deliberate way. And all of that is on purpose. They're letting the joke land, they're feeling the crowd, they're using their emotional intelligence in that moment to see what kinds of jokes are landing. I think I've been told, Stacey, you should be doing stand-up comedy, and I go, no, I would rather stand in front of 1,000 high-level executives looking at me like, than get up and do stand-up comedy.
It is a lot of fun. It might be worth a try one
thank
time.
You. No, thank you.
But you're right in the fact that my biggest problems in the beginning were because I wasn't comfortable enough yet. I didn't know my set well enough yet. I tend to look down, and I rushed.
Yep, your partner is never on the floor.
So even if I did say something funny, as you're about to laugh or clap or do whatever, I'm already on to the next joke. So you're like,
Yep.
that's the number one rule. Don't step on a laugh.
Of course not.
You don't want to let it completely die out, but you don't want to step on it so people go, all right, I'm just going to sit back and wait. So what you're saying, again, transfers not only to comedy, but it is when you're in front of high-level executives' business. The biggest thing is the boardroom meetings. You're trying to sell your idea or whatever it is. You can't do it. Again, I think we should maybe try to look into it. Nobody's going to pay attention to you then.
Right.
Even if you're 100% right and what you're saying makes total sense, nobody cares.
You could teach my class. You got it all down.
I actually want to, let's see what we got here. Jay says, in the world today, it's more important to be first and correct. People want to be heard on their point and opinion before even have one fact. News and media are the most guilty of this. And that's true, too. It is a lot of being first instead of... That's the thing. Like, what you teach is planning and being ready and prepared to go out there. And even if you're not, if you have enough knowledge on the topic, you could sell it.
Well, that you can do that, but you can only do that with authority if you have practiced authority ahead of time.
Right.
So I have since 1999, I've been doing this. You watch me at a networking event, and that's completely impromptu, off the cuff. And I'm hanging out with Sarah, who we talked about earlier, and I'm just chatting, yak, and I'm just being all me and saying like and non-words because I'm still a human being, even though I'm a coach. And then a prospective client will walk up, and I change into corporate Stacey, which is still authentically me, but it's more formal. All the non-words are gone. I pause, and I have that so ingrained. It's part of my Swiss Army knife, and I can take it out at any moment. So if I were a politician, let's say, and had to give an emergency press conference and didn't have a lot of time to prepare a statement, I've already prepared physically and vocally to deliver with authority. And I'm able to manage that adrenaline and the anxiety and just the adrenaline of having to give an impromptu press conference. But you have to practice the nuts and bolts until they're a part of you. Then you can improv anytime, anywhere, with anybody, for any audience, anywhere in the world.
Later, like recently, later in life, to help in comedy, I was taking comedy courses, but I also took some improv courses, because improv, I think, is a secret to everything at this point now.
It's a secret weapon.
And again, for the same reasons, it really helps you. Sometimes in comedy, if you think, the joke's gone. It's the same, and I want to give a shout out to Cyclone, who's on the show before us, in the Cage of Cyclone. He talks about fights, sports, and stuff like that, and MMA. If you're out there and you're going, okay, I'm going to throw a left right now, and by the time you do that, you're hit.
Right, right.
It's the same in comedy. If you're, all right, so the joke, I'm going to do that. People are looking at you like, all right, be funny. You know, they're waiting for something. So you have to be able to do it off the cuff. Again, you want to prepare. You want to prepare your jokes, your set. You don't want to get up there with nothing and go, okay, I'm just funny, so I'm just going to riff for a half hour, because that's not going to work either. So you do need the preparation. But like you said, you need the confidence. You need the training to go out there and command a crowd.
Well, and if you study improv, that's going to make your stand-up easier, because you can riff off the audience.
Right.
And because they will throw things at you, they will heckle you, and you have to be able to turn on a dime, grab what they've given you, morph it into something funny or palatable if they're harassing you, and move on with a button, with an authority, with a dagger. You're done. Next joke. And that comes from improv training.
And there are some really good comics out there that are great with crowd work. I don't do that yet. I was told stay away from it a little bit because when you only got like 5-6 minutes on stage, which a lot of these contests are,
Right.
you don't want to start interacting with a crowd because you need to build up for that. And by the time you build it, it's done. Once you start getting to the 10-minute plus sets, then you do want to get crowd work because they like to be engaged. They like to be part of the set.
You go
but
to a
you
comedy
need
show to
that
be
improv.
harassed.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you need that improv because someone might throw you off. And if you have something, a joke prepared, and someone throws a curveball at you, don't be like, I'm not prepared for that. You got to be there.
Right, that's improv training. Where are you taking improv, or were you?
I took Michael Rock's course in Freeport, Long Island Improv, and I did some stuff with Al Isaacs, which unfortunately, I work too much and I don't do it as much as I want to because, again, it really, I think taking the courses, especially improv courses, brought me to a new level because I don't like going up with something. And I always found that, and again, that's why I don't bring notes for any of this stuff. When I did that, when I did it in public speaking or debating, when I had notes, I did this.
Of course you
Even
did.
if I looked up, I looked right back. Then I was
Yep.
afraid I was going to lose my spot, so I'm doing this. That's the worst to try to command a crowd. Comedy, a lot of people bring an index card or a phone or something up and
Nope.
they put it down,
Nope.
which is okay if you know how to sell it. If you don't use it as a crutch, you're okay. But if the audience is laughing, you go get a sip of water
I'm
and
gonna
then go back.
I'm going to go way out on a limb and say it's never appropriate. It's not. It's gonna. Everyone knows that you're doing that.
They
And
do.
Anybody who's doing that, I don't know. Get away from it.
They could,
Practice it.
some comics could pull it off again because you're going to go over for that water, and as long as you're not doing this, staring at your phone or reading your notes,
Yeah, but
you want to flow. You definitely want to flow.
We could debate that forever.
I agree more with you, but I'm a lot of comics they got to do what they're comfortable with, and I've seen people who are much better than me.
No, you
pull
practice
it off.
until you get comfortable doing the thing
Yes.
that works. Well, I'm going to be
That's why I refuse to
hard.
bring anything. The only time I
Exactly.
do it because I found out my memory's not good with names. I'm horrible with names. If I host, I go up there with the index card with everybody's name because either I'm going to remember my jokes or I'm going to remember the name, not both.
All right, for names and for the sponsors, that's a lot of information
Yes.
to read.
Yeah,
But
I'm not going to memorize this
No,
and throw it out
please,
there.
who has time for that? But and I know when I have clients that will come up with notes or a notebook, and I just sneak right up to the front of the room and I take it right out of the hand. I go, you don't need that. You're done. And they always, every single time, can do it without the notes. Always. It's a crutch.
I did that. I was a singer also in a band. If
Oh,
I
yeah.
brought the lyrics up there, I could not do that song without the lyrics.
Yep.
Even though I knew it and I might never even had to look at it, but
Yeah.
I needed it there. The songs I did without them, I never needed them.
Yep. I'm also
So
a
it's a-
singer and I have that same
it's a
problem.
mental crutch.
Yep, it's just a crutch.
A few comments here. V was saying, I hate when people use too many filler words. I'm very sensitive to it, especially at work. I can make an entire sentence just using everyone's filler words at work.
Sorry.
Oh, Jay was saying his comment was more for when I begin to discuss politics. That's going to be a different show where I get more into topics like that. But it's true. And again, it's usually because someone's thinking.
Yeah.
And thinking, if you're just like you said, if you're at the bar and you're hanging out with friends and you want to think, you can do it all day long. It's fine. When you're trying to command an audience, it's not fine, and
No.
it's not going to work.
No, it's not fine. And I always tell my clients, yes, you do have to think sometimes because if something is impromptu, you haven't memorized it. I hope you're not holding business, index cards. You might need to think. Think quietly. You don't need to make noise every second you're in front of the room. And people are afraid of silence. And I coach people to swim in the silence, enjoy the silence, get used to it, practice it where it's safe, so that when you get in front of the room, you can say, ah, yes, there is that uncomfortable feeling of being quiet. And it works. It's powerful stuff.
Yes.
Whether in comedy or business.
The difference in public speaking versus debating, you had to go up with some notes because you wanted to look prepared. You wanted to look like you had facts and you were ready to argue stuff. When I went up with this, I was stuck reading it, so then they said, just write keywords. I still found I was looking at it. So it was bothering me. I didn't want to do it, so they said, go up with just a blank piece of paper. Go up with a folder of blank papers. Make it look like you're looking through, so even when you have a fact, like, oh, there's nothing on the page, but now it looks like, oh, he has facts, he has all this stuff written down, it's great. So I guess it depends on what you're doing.
That's an excellent trick. I like that.
It is, and again, there's a lot of times like, oh, wow, well, you had all the notes, and then I showed them all the blank pages, like, you remembered all that? I'm like, no, not really, I was just prepared on the topic. And it didn't matter what it was, because again, debating, you know beforehand what it's going to be, you had to prepare it, and then go up there with it.
Right.
as opposed to an improv where you're just
Right.
thrown out. You might know the general idea of what's going on. And again, you look at some of the most memorable scenes in movies, a lot of them weren't written in the script.
Oh, I know. My fiance is a screenplay writer, so I know all about that stuff. We have friends who've written movies, big movies that you've actually heard of.
Really?
Know all about the scenes that get thrown in. Actors make it up. It's a hot moment, and it ends up in the actual movie.
I know I've looked up before, and I can't remember offhand a lot of them, but I looked up most iconic movie scenes that were not planned, and it was most of the memorable ones.
Yeah.
Like, Are You Talking to Me? Or what was the one? It was Al Pacino, he smacks a cab. I'm walking over
Oh
here.
yeah, I'm walking here.
Yeah. And then you
Right.
think, we're going to need a bigger boat.
Oh yeah.
A lot of those were just made up on the spot. Now, we're going to need a bigger boat in Jaws. They said they threw that out a couple of times in the movie, but when the shark first showed up, everyone's like, wow, yeah, keep that.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy was known for being, Eddie Murphy and, here we go, see now I'm thinking, and Robin Williams were known as two of the best improv actors.
Oh yeah.
Robin Williams, they said, didn't win awards a lot of times because he was so off script he couldn't, because he wasn't following the written word. But again, if you look at his scenes, he stole every one that he was in.
Well, a really, really great actor who is in the moment, who understands the character, who's internalized the character deeply, they're going to know on some level the character better than the writer.
Right.
They find nuances that aren't in the script, because when you add a human, it adds a whole different level, and the experience of that individual actor, the way they've interpreted it. And it's very wise to let actors, if you have time, they don't always have time, or to stay on budget in movies, but if you have time to let the actors improv a little and be in the scene and rehearse, God forbid they have time to rehearse, which sometimes they don't, it's going to make the movie so much better.
Now, acting, which is another thing I'm segueing into specifically, I did a little bit of that, nothing majorly, but it's a little different in a movie. We have a script and you could go over and over again, but when you're live, all right, if you're doing a specific play or show that everybody knows and you got to kind of say in the script, it's one thing, but if you're not and someone does something wrong, you need those improv skills to adjust and bring it back around and bring it home, which you've had some experience in.
Yeah.
Which Frank had you as a Broadway actress, so you got to thank him for that. I said off Broadway, you're pushing yourself even further out.
Thank you. No.
But acting in a live play has got to be, like, that's one of my goals. As a singer, I always said I would love to get up there myself with a guitar and be able to do it, because I can't do it. I don't have enough patience to learn guitar well enough to be able to sing while playing it. And as a comedian, actor, whatever, I haven't had the nerve to train myself enough to get out there in a live play. So what's that like, and how much has your skills helped you with that?
Being on stage live, there's nothing like it. It's a free fall, it's terrifying, it's exhilarating, it's fabulous. I mean, it's really, I don't know, I do miss it sometimes. The thing is, with plays, you rehearse them over and 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 over. So you shouldn't really have too many problems going up on your lines. It happens to the best of us, but really you rehearse it. And you rehearse it with a fellow actor. What I have found was that when I would go off script, it would be when something was missing. A prop wasn't in the right place. That would it would take me out of the moment. And I felt like I was in a tunnel where everything kind of stops and you just slow motion until you find your line again. And it's kind of what makes theater fun.
Right.
And knowing that if the audience wanted it to be perfect, they'd go to a movie. You had a very great acting teacher called Jack Plotnick, his name was. He comes to the city every once in a while and does these amazing one-off coachings. He said, the light shines through the cracks. So when somebody makes a mistake on stage, the audience gets to see behind the curtain. And sometimes a really interesting moment, a real authentic moment will happen. And sometimes it's just a mess.
Right.
But it's exciting and fun. And the second part of your question was how much of it do I use in my public speaking work, I think was your question.
How has your skills as a public speaker helped you as an acting?
Well, when I started teaching public speaking, I noticed that I was getting cast a lot more. So it just helped my overall appearance of confidence. I used to walk into auditions and kind of fumfer around and be like, "Hi, I'm Stacy, and I'm going to do a monologue from Macbeth," and then after becoming a public speaking coach and actually being paid to fly around the world and do that, all of a sudden my confidence was through the roof, and I would walk in and make eye contact and shake hands and I was authoritative. And there was a point I was in 3 plays at once.
Wow.
I don't recommend it. It was not a good idea, but I got greedy because it was so fun to be cast. But the reverse is actually more important. All of the theater things, tools that I picked up are what I use in my coaching. And if I ever were to start a blog or a vlog, it would be everything I need to know about business I learned backstage, because it's all applicable.
Right. I noticed. It's funny. I was just reading something today on Amelia Clark, who, as you know, she's in Game of Thrones, and they were talking about roles she went out for and didn't get, and then they talked about her trying out for Game of Thrones, and she didn't It's a serious role, but she went in there and did the funky chicken and the robot. So I'm wondering if that was her way of the confidence showing that she was standing out. I don't have to go in there and be this she went in there with confidence. That's probably why she got it. And supposedly, I don't know how true it is because it was this one website, they said she was the highest paid on the show.
Wow, good for her.
Or is.
Fantastic.
And so good for her because she wasn't a main character. She became one.
Yeah. Because of the way she delivers those lines, the role, the way she made it her own in a way that is so incredibly individual. I would not have played that role that way. Other actor, my friend Kate, who's still an actress, she wouldn't do it that way. That's that actress making magic happen. And one of my acting teachers from NYU had said, I went to Stella Adler Conservatory, and their whole credo is your choice is your talent. And she proves that 1,000-fold.
And it's funny because they said she wasn't originally cast in that role. It was someone else that for whatever reason left, and then she stepped up to it. And now again, I mean, her and Arya are probably the 2 most popular characters on the show. I mean, I guess if you ask the women, they'll probably say Jon Snow, but...
Well, I don't know. I think...
I don't know. There's some competition for him on there,
Brienne
too.
of Tarth is up there for me. She's...
And I don't know the books, but I know from, The Walking Dead, sometimes if a character takes the scene, he's going to become a main character. Daryl's probably the biggest example of that in The Walking Dead because he wasn't in the comics.
Right.
And then it came from, who cares to, if he dies, we riot. So again, you can use your skills to keep you in a position, which again falls into the same thing, whether you're a salesperson or whatever else. You sell yourself, people are going to start paying more attention to your product than if you don't.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to give away everything, obviously, because you want people to check out your site and take your course. But what are some things that you do? If I came to you and said, I'm a salesperson, not doing too well, can you help me? What would you do?
Well, that's a really hard question.
Or if I was
to
just
answer.
if someone's seeking to go to you,
Right.
what would I do? What would you do?
Well, I wouldn't know until I talk to you, engage with you, watch you do a little pitch for me. There's no cookie cutter, do these 5 things and this will help you. Somebody said about my coaching, I'm like a surgeon. I can look at an individual and see what's the 1 or 2 things they need to adjust, get in there, fix them up, and then it's fine. Because you might talk too fast, whereas someone else might have trouble making eye contact. Someone else might be so introverted they're soft-spoken and you can't hear them. So it really is incredibly individual. But the large answer is I look first at the body language. Are you making extended and connected eye contact? Are you able to pause deliberately? Are you using too many non-words, talking too fast? Are you playing with your wedding ring, play with your hair, standing closed? I pick apart all of that stuff so that you can essentially learn to manifest the most authoritative version of yourself. I don't want you to copy me. I don't want you to look, and say, well, I want to have body language like Tyrion Lannister. No. You have times in your life when you are incredibly authoritative and passionate. No matter how introverted you are, you have those moments. How do you look and sound at your best? And then how do we reproduce that when your heart is pounding and you're nervous? That's what I do. Does that make sense?
Yes, and actually that's a better answer than I expected, because I know a lot of people have a formula for what works.
Run away.
And then as they get on the class, maybe you individualize right from the start, which
yeah.
I think is more beneficial to whoever would seek your help. So if I went in there and I was going to try to sell CBD oil, you don't know what you would do until you see me try to sell it.
Exactly.
So that to me is even better. And again, I guess there's no specific, you'll train anybody to do anything.
Well, I can't train you to juggle.
Well, I mean, in the pub, any customer facing thing, if someone needs help, again, it doesn't matter what type of job it is.
Yeah.
Whether it is if someone's trying to get into politics, or if they're trying to be a comedian, if they're a salesperson, or if they're a radio host or whatever, you can help anybody in any type of speaking field, just based off the criteria you said, how they push it.
Essentially, if they call it, the corporate term for it is industry agnostic. I don't have to work with any particular type of client. I have worked in the pharmaceutical industry. I've worked in finance. I've worked with personal trainers. I've worked with people on the factory floor, lawyers, real estate, ombudsman. Fancy word. I don't know if anybody knows what that is.
You got me on that
I
one.
didn't know what it was. An ombudsman is somebody high up in the HR area, and they're your front line if you're having a problem, like a Me Too or a Time's Up or any kind of a thing. Before you go to HR, you can go to the ombudsman first. They're kind of a corporate arbiter. Yeah. So I can do it. I can help anybody. I even helped, I had a client who had his daughter doing her bat mitzvah, and I helped her with her public speaking for her bat mitzvah, which was very, very cute.
It's funny you said that. I went to a wedding years ago. A guy I worked with, he had a priest come to the restaurant where they were getting married, and I guess it was his first wedding. He was so nervous.
Aww.
We're here together, and he was so nervous. And something like that could have definitely have helped him out.
Yeah.
I ended up standing next to him because he was looking for the names like Russell.
Help him out.
Yeah, and
Aww.
once he got going a little bit, he was a little better, but you could tell the nervousness. And again, if I don't know how he was at a sermon, he might have been nervous because it was a wedding and it was important. But if I see that, I'm probably not coming back. You know.
No, I'm not going to get married by him again.
Right. And
Right.
weddings are, you only get like 3 or 4 in your life, so
I
you want to
know.
make sure they're special.
I'm on my second one.
Well, I'm on 0.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry.
But it is the confidence, and again, that's an authoritative position. You're doing the wedding. You need to be more than the bride and the groom, even.
Oh, well,
So-
usually more than the bride and the groom. That
Yeah.
won't be the case at my wedding. I'm getting married in June. And
Congratulations.
thank you. My fiance and I are both recovering performing artists, so we both have had an elegant sufficiency of theater training. We are loud, we are proud, we are funny, we're not afraid to riff off each other. And our officiant is also an actor, a friend of ours who we know very, very well. And I expect our ceremony to be wild and woolly.
I have another question as far as your teaching goes, because this is something for me personally, and I'm probably going to look to you after the show. I have more of a problem with nobody than I do a big crowd. Which usually it's people get stage fright. They look out and they see the audience. I look out, I see a big audience, and I'm like, I get excited. I feel it feed off the energy. Getting better with it now, especially this helps.
Yeah.
Because there's no response. I mean, yes, you get some messages here and there, but I'm on stage and I say something, or I sing something, there's immediate response. I get it. When we perform to an empty bar, or I get on stage and there's 5, 6 people in a room, that's harder for me. I take comedy courses, which I'm doing this Thursday again with Paul Bond. I sit on a couch and I don't know, maybe there's 6 people in there, and you're trying to run your stuff. I sit there with some stuff I have written down. I'm just like, all right, I'm working on these ideas.
Yeah.
Paul knows me well enough to know how I'll be on stage, but that's where I lack when there's not an audience.
Right.
So I guess you could help somebody with that too.
Sure.
Now, do you if I went to you, is it like a one-on-one? Or are there classes? Is there other people in the group that are there for, like, how does it work?
Well, it works in many different ways. I do one-on-one coaching for people who are what I call self-funding. So somebody like you call me up, you say, hey, I want some help with my public speaking in the context of comedy. We meet somewhere. I have a home office, but I put the home in home office. I have cats. I try not to have too many clients out there. And then we would work on that one-on-one. Sometimes I will hold a group class. I don't do it very often because it's a pain to put together. I'm doing more of it this year. It's kind of on my bucket list for 2019 to do more open enrollment classes. But I make my bread and butter when a corporation or an SME, small to medium enterprise, brings me in, and I work with them on site, and they provide the equipment, the people, everything that we need. And a group training is generally more lively because if you're talking about public speaking specifically, it's good to have a public to speak to.
Right.
Right.
See, because even with comedy, the best comics and magicians, they say, perform to themselves. Mm-hmm. And I brought magic in there too, because they say if you can fool yourself, you can fool the crowd. And I know comics will practice in front of a mirror, or at least just stand in the living room and do the set. I don't want to say I can't do that because then it limits you, but I haven't been able to do that. Mm-hmm. When I'm home, I'll listen to my old sets, I'll visualize things in my head, I'll run the set through over and over and over again in my head. And I'm also prepared that if I do get on stage and I blank out, which happens, mm-hmm. I'll use that to my advantage and switch and do something else.
Right.
I've had a plan set, went up there, saw it wasn't going the way I wanted to, or someone said something earlier, and I'll just make a left turn mm-hmm. and change it and adapt to it. But I want to be able to do that because I would eventually like to get back into acting. I've done stuff with Jim Haggard, who's a friend, and I know he's going to give me roles. But I want to start doing more stuff, and I don't think at this point I could go into a room and do a cold read even. Mm-hmm. Or
yeah.
even if they gave me the script beforehand, if they wanted me to do something that I even really do in real life, I think I would kind of like, well, here we are. Like, I wouldn't sell it the way I should.
Right.
And I want to develop those skills.
Well, developing acting skills is a lifelong process. And
I don't necessarily mean the acting, just the confidence of one-on-one or small crowd stuff.
Small crowd stuff, well, firstly, I don't recommend practicing in front of the mirror. And I don't recommend practicing silently in your head, sitting on your sofa, no matter what it is, whether it's a role in a play or your comedy routine or a formal presentation you're delivering for your boss. Because what happens is you're lying to your body. You're saying, well, when we do this, I'm going to have a friendly face in my mirror. I'm going to be there and it's going to be great. Or we're going to be quietly musing on the sofa. And then you get up there and you already have the adrenaline flowing and your body says, you lied to me. Where is the friendly face in the mirror? Where is my comfy chair? If you're going to practice, you want to have a prop microphone if you have to hold a mic. You want to have your water bottle, your chair, your phone if you're going to use your phone. No phone. But if you're going to use your phone, and stand as much as you would, as it will be in real life, as close as you can get. And I would put, you have photographs in your home or objects. My audience is that plant, that picture of my grandma, my cat, and my daughter's stuffed animal. Okay. And I am going to deliver this joke to the plant. Hey, plant. Oh, the plant thought that was funny. Now I'm going to move over to grandma. Now I'm going to move over here. Act as much as possible as there's an audience. The second piece is you have to have an action. I am reading, I'm musing to myself. I'm not doing anything. When you speak to that plant, when you speak to the picture of grandma, you want to be getting them to laugh or warning them. Sometimes jokes are not to get you to laugh. It's, I'm going to warn you, the subway is terrible at Christmas time. Oh boy. So I'm warning you.
Right.
Now I'm going to encourage you that, politics aren't so bad. You have an action for every joke. And that way you're not just sitting in your living room in your head. Get out of your head, even if it's just to get into the room. That would be my advice.
That is great advice.
And I'm going to send you a bill.
It's funny because one of the classes, Billy Muir, who's a great friend of mine. He's been to help, done all the stuff before I have with the band, the acting, comedy, everything. He took one of those courses with me. And when I was going to go through the thing, I was sitting on the couch with the stuff I had written down that I wanted to work on. And he's like, get up. Because when we do the thing, there is a mic stand and a mic in there. It's not hooked up to anything, but he's like, you're not going to be sitting down on stage, get up and deliver it. And I was like, all right, you know.
He's
but
right.
I figured since I'm just running through material, there was no reason for it. But he was right, and now you're confirming that, because it is, yeah, you should practice how you're going to do it.
There's no such thing as just running through material. You're running it, you're practicing it. That in itself is an action.
Right.
I'm just running through the material versus, okay, I'm getting psyched. I'm going to work my material. I'm going to make this stuff good. I'm going to hone it and get it all sharp. And you're practicing from the moment you get up on stage. You practice what is it like to walk on stage? What is it like to pick up the mic? What is it like to say, good evening, ladies and gentlemen? Practice everything. Otherwise, that first couple seconds, you fall apart. You don't have a chance to warm up.
Right.
Once you're in the spotlight, you're on. That's it.
And a lot of the comedy courses I took, hone that, like, you're getting announced up, so you already had the crowd, they're already applauding. Don't let it completely die out, unless you have something specific that the act works for, but usually you don't want to let it die out. Say the first joke, which should be a home run, because you want to land them right off the bat. As they're cheering, take the mic out, move the mic stand behind you so you're not hiding behind it. Don't play with the mic cord.
Oh, boy.
Don't lean on it. Don't lean on the stand, play with it. Don't do everything. Do guys do that? Absolutely. Do some get away with it? Absolutely. But the comedy formula is, hey, it's me and the mic and you guys.
Yep.
I don't need anything.
Fantastic.
And it does help because, again, I found, especially as a singer, you do play with the mic stand and the mic cord because that's what you do. You're supposed to do that as a
Right.
singer.
Well, it's
as
part
a
of your
comic, you can't do that. You gotta. And I do find every once in a while I still have the mic cord or I'm doing stuff with it. I'm still in singer mode and I'm trying to drop those habits, but it's getting there.
Right.
It's definitely getting there.
Yeah, practice makes perfect. Actually, I'm lying. Perfect practice is meh. Perfect practice makes perfect. Practicing mistakes doesn't help you.
Right.
You have to choose
Yeah, you
and
don't wanna
practice the
reinforce your
right
bad
things.
habits.
Right. And people do that, and I think people are afraid to practice because they think it's an overwhelming, oh God.
I never liked it, even in sports. I hated practice. I love the games, but again, Ali, who arguably is the greatest of all time, said, I hate losing more than I hate practice. So,
There you go. You hate going up on your lines more than you hate practicing.
right.
You know, and if you're honing any kind of skill, whether it's public speaking, comedy, acting, the practicing is the meat of it. I always enjoyed rehearsal. That was my favorite part. Performing was nerve-wracking and hard. Rehearsing was when I got to play, explore the material, see what works, see what doesn't. That creative moment was always the best part for me.
I definitely have to change my mindset then.
Yeah, it's also mindset, and there's 10 billion books on, positive mindset and mantras and blah, blah, blah. But it's true. Changing your mindset. Rehearsing is play. I'm going to work the material. I'm going to play with my material.
And again, if I could sell it in a room of people that are just working on material and not an audience, if I'm slaying them, then the stage will be easy.
Absolutely.
Because people are there to laugh. So
People want,
they do.
they want to like you.
Yes. If you're at an open mic in a bar when they're not expecting it, that's one thing. But when you're at a comedy show in a comedy club, they're there to enjoy the show and laugh.
Yeah.
You got to own that. And that's one thing I learned too, especially in a band. The music starts, people like the song, they're automatically into it. So I would use that energy to sing. Comedy, it's a little different. They're looking at you going, all right, give me something. So you have to make them laugh to get the energy from them.
Right.
And that was something I had problems with in the beginning too, is that I can't use their energy. I had to give them my energy to get it back.
Right. Well, and if an audience, I've found if an audience is so incredibly sullen, I acknowledge that sometimes. And in comedy, I know it's different, but in coaching, I've had some audiences that are what we call in the theater a dead audience. And sometimes, depending on the level of the group, I'll be like, okay, are you out there? Hello, be with me. This is not going to be fun at all if you don't play with me. And with higher level people, there's more eye contact, more acknowledgement, but I just accept that they're high-level people. They're not there to fool around.
Right.
And I meet them where they are. I don't make them come to me. Now, in comedy, obviously, this is a little different. But in a corporate audience, it's not your job to decide how they're going to listen to you.
Okay. Unfortunately, we are out of time. But before we wrap up, how would someone get in touch with you?
My website is www.redleafcoaching.com. You can remember it, red leaf, red hair. And my name is Stacey Mandeville, Stacey with 2 E's, STACEE MANDEVILLE.
V, if you're watching, if you could just throw Paul's fundraiser up. I forgot to get back to that. He raises money for cats. And he does it personally. It's his own thing. He doesn't work through a foundation. Money that goes into his hand goes right back out into it.
Wow.
So there's vet bills and stuff that are piling up. So he's trying to raise some money for that. So
I have
hopefully
4
Paul reaches
cats.
his
I
goal
support
tonight.
that.
Again, check out our sponsors, Kayla Logistics, Frank Zambuto. You can reach him at 347-536-3933 or email at frank@kaylalogistics.com. And welcome back to Day 3 Botanicals. And you can go to their website at day3, spelt out, THREE, day3botanicals.com. Use our code COOLCATS10 for a 10% off discount on your order. We will have their graphics next week. Once again, thank you. Hopefully, we'll be back next week with Teresa. Thanks for tuning in.